Aries, let me ask you something, quietly. Have you noticed how people are watching you now? Not because you're loud, not because you're fighting back, but because you're calm. You don't react the way you used to. You don't explain yourself. You don't burn your energy anymore. And somehow, that silence is unsettling them. They expected fire. They got stillness. They expected chaos. You chose peace. If this feels familiar, don't scroll away. Stay with me. Comment, I trust myself, if you feel this shift in your bones. And take a breath, because what you're stepping into next is bigger than you think. All right, stay with me here, Aries. Just you and me. No rush, no noise. I want you to picture this for a moment. You're walking through your day like you always do. Nothing dramatic, no announcement, no explanation offered to anyone. And yet, you can feel it. The looks that linger a little longer. The pauses in conversations when you enter a room. The subtle awareness that something about you has shifted. Not louder, not sharper, quieter. You didn't wake up one day and decide to be watched. You didn't change your path to prove anything. You simply stopped performing your emotions for the world. And that's what did it. Before, you were fire on the surface. Quick to respond, quick to protect yourself, quick to burn when something felt unfair. That fire was real. It carried you through a lot, but it also cost you more than you ever admitted out loud. Now, that fire lives deeper inside you. On the outside, there's space, there's breath, there's restraint. You don't rush to explain yourself anymore. You don't correct every misunderstanding. You don't chase clarity from people who never listened in the first place. And people feel that absence like a missing sound. They keep watching your movements, how your steps seem slower, how your voice carries less urgency, how your energy doesn't spike when they expect it to. What unsettles them isn't that you changed. It's that you didn't invite them into the change. You didn't say, "This is who I am now." You just became it. There's something deeply disarming about someone who no longer reacts on command, someone who doesn't flinch, someone who lets silence do the talking, and that silence, it pulls attention the way a still lake reflects the sky. People project into it. They search it for answers. They try to read meaning where you've simply chosen peace. You might not even realize how powerful this looks from the outside. But I need you to hear this. Your calm is not emptiness. It's fullness. It's the result of everything you've survived. Every moment you swallowed your pride. Every time you chose growth over chaos. And now, instead of spilling your energy outward, you're holding it. That's why the focus has shifted toward you. That's why eyes follow you without permission. That's why your presence feels heavier even when you say less. Not because you're trying to stand out, but because you stop trying to be understood. And as you stand there, simply existing, breathing in your own rhythm, there's a quiet truth settling in. You're not here to perform anymore. You're here to live. And as this realization sinks deeper, as the noise around you fades just enough, something else begins to emerge. A deeper layer, a softer strength, a kind of control that doesn't need force. Take a breath with me here, because what you're feeling now, this calm, this weightless steadiness, it's only the beginning of a much bigger shift. Stay right here, Aries. I want to talk to you like we are sitting across from each other, late at night when the world finally quiets down. This calm you're carrying now, it didn't arrive by accident. It wasn't handed to you. It was earned. It was shaped in moments when you were tired beyond words, when disappointment settled into your chest and stayed there longer than it should have, when you realized that reacting didn't protect you anymore, it only drained you. You learned something most people never slow down enough to learn, that not every spark deserves a flame, that not every comment needs a reply, that not every misunderstanding is yours to fix. You didn't lose your fire, you placed it somewhere deeper, somewhere safer, and that shift changed everything. People who were once comfortable pushing your buttons now stand there confused. They replay old patterns in their minds, waiting for the familiar outcome. The raised voice, the sharp response, the emotional charge they could lean against. But it doesn't come. They test the silence. They linger in it. They wait for you to break it first. And when you don't, something inside them starts to shake. Because what they're facing now isn't distance. It's control they no longer have. Your calm has weight. It slows the room. It changes the temperature of conversations without you saying a word. You walk into spaces differently now. Your shoulders softer, your breath steadier, your eyes less reactive, more observant. You're not scanning for threats anymore. You're choosing where to place your attention. And that choice is power. Not the loud kind, not the kind that needs to dominate. The quiet kind that reshapes the field without force. People feel it when they try to provoke you and hit nothing but air. When their words fall flat. When the tension they bring doesn't find a place to land. That's when they realize something has changed for good. You are no longer emotionally available to chaos. You don't feed it. You don't wrestle with it. You let it pass through without claiming it. And that unsettles those who relied on your reactions to feel relevant. There's a dignity in the way you move now, a restraint that doesn't feel like suppression, but like maturity. You've learned the difference between silence that hides fear and silence that protects peace. And this is peace. It doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you feel without spilling yourself everywhere. It means you trust yourself enough to pause, enough to breathe, enough to decide when something truly deserves your energy. That's why nothing works on you the way it used to. Not the guilt, not the pressure, not the emotional hooks. They reach out, and there's nothing to grab. And as you stand there, grounded in this new stillness, something subtle happens. You start to notice how much lighter your days feel, how much clearer your thoughts become, how your body responds when it's no longer bracing for impact. This calm isn't the end of your strength, it's the refinement of it. And as you settle into this centered space, as it becomes more natural to you, you may begin to sense another shift approaching, a deeper understanding of what you're no longer willing to give away. A quiet awareness of who benefited from the old version of you. Just let that awareness arrive gently, because the story is still unfolding, and what comes next will reveal even more about the power you've stepped into without needing to announce it. Stay with me, Aries. Let's slow this moment down. I want you to feel what's different now, not think about it. Feel it in your chest, in the way your breath lands a little deeper than it used to. There was a time when everything could reach you, other people's moods, their urgency, their chaos. It all had a direct line to your heart, but that line, it's quiet now, not cut, just protected. You've taken back the keys to your inner world, not with force, not with walls, but with awareness. You've learned where your energy leaks and you gently close those doors. You notice it in small ways, how certain conversations no longer pull you in, how some words pass through you without leaving a mark, how your body doesn't tense the way it used to when the room shifts. You're choosing where your attention rests, and that choice is sacred. This isn't indifference, it's discernment. You still feel deeply, you just don't let everything in. And people sense that immediately, even if they can't name it. They feel a boundary they didn't see you build. They reach for you emotionally, and their hands come back empty. Not because you've disappeared, but because you've moved inward. There's a calm gravity around you now, like standing near a mountain. It doesn't chase, it doesn't react, it simply is. And that presence, it changes the dynamic without effort. Some people notice the silence first, the pause where their influence used to land. They feel it when their usual triggers don't spark anything. That's when the frustration starts to rise. Because losing emotional access to you feels like losing control. Their voices get louder, their reactions sharper, their need for validation more obvious. And you grow quieter, not withdrawn, just settled. You observe instead of absorb. You listen without taking on what isn't yours. You allow emotions to pass through you without turning them into identity. This is maturity, the kind that doesn't announce itself. You're no longer living from the center of reaction. You're living from the center of choice. And there's something incredibly healing about that, not just for you, but for everyone who witnesses it. Because when one person refuses to be pulled into chaos, the chaos loses momentum. You're showing a different way to move through the world, one that doesn't require constant defense, one that doesn't mistake intensity for truth. And even if no one says it out loud, your energy teaches them something. That peace is possible, that strength can be quiet, that self-control doesn't mean self-denial. Take a breath here, let it settle, because this reclaimed inner space, this calm authority over your emotional world, it's doing more than protecting you, it's revealing something else. A subtle truth beginning to surface about who used to benefit from your reactions. about who felt powerful when you were emotionally open and unguarded. Just notice that thought. Don't judge it. Don't rush it. Let it float beside you for now. Because as this awareness deepens, as you continue to stand rooted in this quiet strength, another layer of the story is ready to show itself. And when it does, you'll understand even more clearly why this calm had to arrive first. Stay close, Aries. This part asks for honesty, but not the kind that wounds, the kind that frees. There are people in your past who knew you in a very specific way. Not the full you, not the quiet you, but the version of you that responded quickly, the version that gave without counting, the version that felt responsible for everyone else's comfort. They didn't see it as taking, they saw it as normal. Your reactions fed something in them. Your guilt softened their edges. Your overgiving made their lives easier. And for a long time, you didn't question it. Because you cared. Because you believed love meant availability. Because you thought strength was proven by how much you could carry. But something shifted, not loudly, not all at once. You stopped offering yourself as fuel, and now that supply is gone. They feel it in subtle ways, in unanswered expectations, in conversations that no longer go the way they used to, in the absence of emotional access they once took for granted. They don't always know how to name the discomfort, but it's there, so they watch. Not out of admiration, out of confusion, out of disbelief. They study your tone, your timing, your distance, looking for a familiar opening, a crack, a moment where you slip back into the role they understood. They replay old versions of you in their minds, hoping you'll return to them, hoping the old patterns still work, but they don't. And that's what unsettles them the most. Because manipulation only functions when someone is willing to carry what isn't theirs. When someone feels obligated to react. When someone mistakes empathy for self-sacrifice. You don't live there anymore. You can feel it when someone tries to pull at you emotionally and finds no hook. When guilt doesn't land. When pressure dissolves before it reaches your core. You're not hardened, you're clarified. There's a difference. You see dynamics now that once felt invisible. You notice who becomes uncomfortable when you stop over-explaining, who grows restless when you don't overextend, who loses interest when you stop performing emotional labor. And instead of shrinking yourself to keep the peace, you stay where you are, grounded, present, whole. This isn't revenge, it's balance. You're no longer offering access to parts of you that require care and consent. You're no longer negotiating your worth through reaction. And here's the quiet truth most people never say out loud. When someone loses their grip on you, it often reveals how tightly they were holding on. Not to you, but to what you provided. Your calm now acts like a mirror. It reflects intentions without accusation. It exposes dynamics without confrontation. And you don't have to point it out. They feel it themselves. You might notice their attention intensify, their curiosity sharpen, their presence hover a little too long. That's not power over you. That's power leaving them. And you don't need to harden your heart to protect yourself from it. You just need to stay honest with where you are. There's dignity in no longer being available for manipulation. There's peace in not correcting other people's expectations of you. There's freedom in letting the old version rest. Take a breath here. Because as this realization settles, as you recognize who no longer has access to your energy, another shift begins to form. One that has less to do with them, and everything to do with how private your world is becoming. And that is where the story starts to glow a little differently. Stay here with me, Aries. This is where the air feels different. There was a time when your life was easy to read, your moods visible, your intentions spoken out loud, your victories shared the moment they happened. Not for attention, just openness. But something in you learned the value of quiet. Now you share less. Not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting what matters. Your days unfold without an audience. Your emotions live where they can breathe safely. Your wins land softly inside you before they ever touch the outside world. And that choice, it changed the way people look at you. You don't explain your happiness anymore. You don't post your healing in progress. You don't announce your next move. You offer just enough to let others know you're alive, but never enough to let them in. That space, that pause, that intentional silence, it unsettles people. They lean in closer now, trying to read between the lines of what you don't say. They replay your words. They study your absence. Your quiet becomes a canvas, and they paint their own stories on it. Some imagine success you haven't confirmed. Others imagine distance where there is simply peace. A few imagine secrets because they no longer have access. Your mystery does the talking for you, and the more you remain private, the louder their curiosity becomes. They analyze the smallest details, the timing of your presence, the moments you choose to appear and disappear. They overthink your silence because silence doesn't give them control. You're no longer narrating your life in real time, you're living it, and there's something deeply powerful about that. Privacy isn't withdrawal, it's discernment. It's knowing that not everything sacred needs a witness, that some transformations need darkness to grow, that some victories lose their magic when explained too soon. You've learned that your energy is not a public resource, that your story doesn't belong to the loudest voice in the room, that peace grows best when it's not constantly questioned, and people feel the shift. They sense that you've stepped into a different rhythm, one that doesn't rush to be understood, one that doesn't seek validation. Your privacy becomes a boundary without confrontation, a signal without words. It tells the world you decide what gets seen. And here's the part I want you to really feel. This quiet isn't empty. It's full of intention, full of clarity, full of a deeper connection to yourself. You're no longer leaking your life through constant explanation. You're holding it, shaping it, allowing it to unfold on your terms. That's why your presence feels stronger now, even when you say less. That's why people lean in even when you give them nothing to grab. Because privacy done with integrity creates gravity. And as you settle into this more contained way of being, as your inner world becomes richer and quieter, something else begins to stir. A shift in how certain people from your past respond to your distance. A subtle tension where there used to be comfort. A curiosity that carries a trace of impatience. Just notice it. No judgment, no reaction. Because this stillness you're mastering, this private strength you're cultivating, it's quietly preparing you for the next unfolding. And when it arrives, you'll understand why this chapter needed silence first. Stay with me, Aries. This part is quieter, but it goes deeper. There's someone from your past who still checks the space you used to fill. Not openly, not bravely, but often. They were used to a certain rhythm with you. You reaching out first, you explaining yourself, you smoothing the air when things felt tense. It wasn't something they questioned, it was something they expected. And then one day that rhythm stopped, not with an argument, not with a dramatic goodbye, just a pause that never closed back up. You didn't chase, you didn't clarify, you didn't step forward to make them comfortable. And that absence, it didn't weaken you, it unsettled them. They felt it in the quiet moments, in the unanswered questions they never thought they would have to sit with, in the realization that your attention was no longer guaranteed. They told themselves stories at first, that you were busy, that you would circle back, that this silence was temporary. But time passed, and nothing changed. That's when irritation crept in, not the clean kind, the restless kind. Emotions started to charge their thoughts, not because they missed you deeply, but because they could no longer predict you. They didn't lose you. They lost control of the connection. And that is a different kind of discomfort. You might sense it even now. A tension in the air when their name crosses your mind. A feeling that something wants to reach you but doesn't quite know how. If they speak, it won't be soft. It will carry an edge, a hint of accusation, a tone shaped by bruised expectations. Not because they want to reconnect honestly, but because they don't know where they stand anymore. And here's the part I want you to really feel. You don't feel pulled back. There's no ache in your chest urging you to fix this. No urgency in your body telling you to respond. No fear that you're losing something essential. You feel steady. That steadiness is new, and it's real. It comes from knowing you didn't disappear out of spite. You stepped back out of alignment. You realized that chasing was costing you clarity, that explaining was draining your peace, that being constantly accessible was teaching others how to overlook your boundaries. So you stopped, not as punishment, as protection. And now, when the past reaches toward you, it doesn't land the way it used to. You can see the dynamic clearly, without emotion clouding the view, without guilt blurring the truth. You understand that some connections only survive when one person keeps bending, and you're not bending anymore. That doesn't make you cold, it makes you honest. You're no longer moved by pressure disguised as concern. You're no longer responsive to confusion that comes from entitlement. You're no longer responsible for restoring comfort you didn't disrupt. And there's a quiet dignity in that. You can wish them well without reopening the door. You can acknowledge the past without returning to it. This steadiness you feel, it's not distance, it's grounding. And as you stand in it, as you let the past remain where it belongs, you might notice something else beginning to shift, a deeper sense of self-trust, a clearer understanding of what you will and will not carry forward. Just breathe into that awareness, because what you're learning now about detachment, about restraint, about choosing yourself without explanation, it's preparing you for something ahead, something that requires this exact level of calm. Stay with me, Aries. This is where the story softens and strengthens at the same time. There was a season in your life when you measured yourself by how much you could carry, how much you could bend without breaking, how much of yourself you could give away and still keep moving. You told yourself it was loyalty, love, responsibility. But deep down, it was exhaustion wearing a brave face. Somewhere along the way, you noticed something quietly aching, your body asking for rest, your spirit asking for space, your heart asking to be considered, not last, but first. And you listened. Not all at once, not dramatically, just enough to change the direction of your days. You stopped sacrificing your well-being to keep others comfortable. You stopped reshaping your schedule to fit expectations that never adjusted for you. You stopped explaining why you needed time, or silence, or distance. Your time became yours again. Your energy stopped leaking into places that never replenished it. Your resources began flowing inward instead of outward. And something remarkable happened. You didn't become selfish. You became present. You started investing in what actually nourishes you. Meals that ground you, routines that calm your nervous system, moments of solitude that feel like home instead of loneliness. You move at your own rhythm now, not rushed, not delayed, just aligned. There's a respect in the way you treat your body, in the way you honor rest without guilt, in the way you protect your space without apology. And people notice, not because you announce it, but because the energy around you feels different. You no longer negotiate your needs in your head before expressing them. You no longer feel the urge to justify why something doesn't work for you. You don't shrink to keep the peace. You keep the peace by staying whole. That self-respect, it creates a kind of independence that doesn't need permission. No one can interfere with it. Because it's not built on rebellion, it's built on clarity. You know what drains you. You know what restores you. And you choose accordingly. There's a calm confidence in that. A steadiness that doesn't waver when someone disapproves. A grounded knowing that your needs are not negotiable simply because someone else is uncomfortable. You're no longer waiting to be chosen. You're choosing yourself. And the beautiful part is you don't need to announce that choice. It shows in how you walk away from conversations that cost too much, in how you say no without rehearsing a reason, in how you protect your mornings and your nights like sacred ground. This is not isolation, it's sovereignty. You're learning that independence isn't about standing alone. It's about standing rooted in your values, rooted in your body, rooted in a sense of self that doesn't dissolve under pressure. And from that place, you can love more honestly, give more intentionally, show up without resentment. Take a breath here. Because this choice, this quiet, unapologetic choosing of yourself, it's changing more than your daily life. It's shifting how others relate to you, what they expect from you, what they assume they can ask of you. And as you settle deeper into this independence, as it becomes less of a decision and more of a way of being, you may begin to notice something else. A widening space ahead of you, a sense that your life is opening rather than closing. That freedom isn't pulling you away from connection, but preparing you for a different kind of fulfillment. Just stay present with that feeling, because what comes next will show you how this self-respect transforms not only you, but the direction your path is quietly taking. Stay with me, Aries. This is where everything comes together. There's a quiet moment that happens after all the noise fades, after the watching, after the wondering, after the pull you no longer answer. It's the moment you realize something simple and profound. They can still see you, they can still talk about you, they can still try to figure you out, but they don't guide you anymore. Their attention no longer shapes your choices. Their opinions no longer steer your steps. Their expectations no longer live inside your body. And that freedom, it's subtle at first. You feel it in the way your mornings begin. Less urgency, more breath. You feel it in your decisions. How you don't second-guess yourself the way you used to. how you don't look over your shoulder for approval. You've entered a phase where your peace speaks before you do, where your energy answers questions without words, where your silence carries more truth than any explanation ever did. That's what they can't understand. They're still watching for a reaction, still listening for the old patterns, still waiting for the version of you that needed to prove something. But you've moved on, not loudly, not dramatically, internally, and that's why your calm unsettles them. Because calm doesn't give them anything to push against. It doesn't argue, it doesn't defend, it doesn't explain itself into exhaustion. Your calm just stands there, rooted, certain, while they remain stuck in motion, reacting, speculating, replaying conversations that no longer matter. You're not winning anything here. You're releasing something. The need to be understood by everyone, the need to respond to every pull, the need to carry other people's discomfort as your responsibility. And in that release, your life opens. You start to notice how light your chest feels, how your thoughts settle faster, how your body no longer braces when your phone lights up. This is freedom, not the kind that runs away, the kind that stays present without being owned. You didn't escape the world. You learned how to live in it without losing yourself. And here's the part I want you to take with you. Your calm didn't make you invisible. It made you sovereign. It taught you that influence doesn't come from noise. It comes from alignment. That power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it arrives as peace that refuses to be disturbed. You are still seen, still felt, still remembered. But now you decide what reaches you. That's why they're still watching, because they sense the shift. They feel the door that closed without a slam. And while they remain outside, trying to understand you're inside your life, living it, breathing, choosing, moving forward. Take a breath here, Aries. Let this moment land. Because this isn't the end of your story. It's the place where the story stops needing witnesses. And from here, everything you build, everything you choose, everything you become will come from freedom, not reaction. Stay with that feeling. It's the sound of your life finally moving at your pace. Aries, before you go, let me leave you with this. If you've been feeling watched lately, if you've noticed the silence around you grow louder, it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you've finally stopped reacting and started trusting yourself. That calm you're living in now was earned through every lesson, every loss, every moment you chose growth over chaos. And if no one has told you this yet, let me say it clearly. You're not losing your fire, you're mastering it. So, if this message reached you at the right moment, if it felt like someone was speaking directly to you, leave a comment below and write, "I trust myself." It helps anchor this energy, and it lets other Aries know they're not walking this path alone. And if this space feels safe to you, if these words brought you clarity or peace, take a moment to subscribe. This channel is for those who are done reacting and ready to rise with awareness. The journey doesn't end here. Another message is already forming. Another layer is waiting to be revealed. Stay grounded, stay present. Trust your calm. I'll see you in the next reading, Aries.